I actually am seeing like a triangle shape in the position, but that's further along.
Okay, so let's get complicated. We're talking, hi Carolyn, we're talking complicated things now. Not only do these functions have positive and negative uh, loop designations, but additionally, they may express in a creative or eliminative fashion. Would you say that's fairly descriptive of the what's happening there, Megabro?
Well, the negative feedback loops will normally try and eliminate when they're recognizing something as downward. But if they stop doing that and they go upward, then they allow for creativity.
Um. All right. So say that again.
When the negative feedback loops stop rejecting ideas, they allow for creativity.
And when they are not rejecting ideas, they are still expressing their negative feedback loop quality insofar as the non-rejection of ideas becomes a flattening out impact on the system as a whole.
Well, stabilizing. Well,
A
when they
return
stop
to
rejecting
equilibrium.
ideas, when they stop rejecting ideas, they allow for equilibrium to be um, moved away from. They allow the system to change.
But then, how? In what way are they expressing the fundamental quality of themselves, namely the uh, tendency to reduce impacts over time rather than amplify them?
They're basically going inactive.
Oh, they're basically going inactive. Okay. So when you just described, let's parse this out with the example of what just happened. We just had our video of comical mirthfulness where we were making jokes about the mule polo. And Taylor and I afterwards, or you said, well, we didn't really talk about positive NE. And Taylor's like, well, isn't that what we just did? Which he beat me to saying the same thing. I was going to say the same thing, basically. And you're like, no, that's negative NE going into the positive territory. So what you're saying is it was negative NE because it was sourced with the notion of replacing an idea because it was familiar? Well,
It was sourced with the idea of mocking ideas for being ridiculous.
hmm.
But
You mean for humor?
it
Can we call that humor?
right.
Was it sourced for the idea of
But
That's a
humor?
creative process. That's a positive creative process.
uh, we haven't gotten into the positive, but
Well, fuck me.
Well, let's see. Let's see.
even any is so off the wall that even its negative feedback loops are like creative. So
Okay, well,
The wall.
I think the humor is a particular kind of any, but any humor is a particular kind of any that may correlate with either positive or negative. I don't know, but it tends to be that. I mean, I think all humor on some level presents absurdity, right? So, and it presents absurdity for humorous effect, not necessarily for ridicule, but you know,
That's certainly any form of humor too, though.
yeah, that is too.
It's a very fun one. That's a really fun one.
Watching Three's Company made me have somewhat mm, undervaluing perhaps notions of SE humor because I think that the like Jack Tripper would in the show it would be like he'd be frustrated and have an egg in his hand, but he'd be frustrated so he forgot there was an egg in his hand. He hit his head like, and then the egg would break on his head. To me, that's an example of like SE humor. It's like, whoop, he did something, he did something with his body, you know. But,
Mousetrap.
but
Wrong
yeah, like, oh,
line.
yeah, oh, hilarious. Personally, that kind of humor doesn't really do much for me as an adult. I did like it more when I was a little kid. I think I really loved Three's Company when I was a kid. So
Well, what about? Have you always seen or ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I haven't. Well, yeah, I've seen a couple episodes of it. It was funny.
That's some good kind of random, mean-spirited, any humor.
I have a friend who works on that show.
No shit.
Yeah, his name's John Goodner. I don't know what his job is exactly. He's pretty big up in the
You can
show, I
find
think.
out and then like get me some behind-the-scenes shit.
All right, let's see if I can get you some shit.
I could be on an episode.
I don't like that show.
I could
'Cause
be Charlie's brother.
I find that show too mean. I don't like it.
I know, but your FE got overdeveloped or something.
I think it doesn't work because of that. It's like I recognize the fact that I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know.
You are.
It's hard to no, I'm not. But it's hard to defend aesthetics. You know, I don't want to get into an aesthetics battle. I personally, it makes me a little uncomfortable. I don't like to see people suffer as much as a sort of humor. Although I understand sometimes it's funny. You know, I guess you're probably right. I'm a bit more of a softie than you are, probably.
A sauce?
A softie. I'm a bit more of a softie. Yeah. Um, so, what do you think about that, Megabro? Is that an example of negative any the sort of harsh edge? Is that part of the that's part of the negative any specific distinct?
Yeah, I would say negative any is a bit harsher.
Okay. Um, right. So, I find so far that SI is kind of the ideal function to understand this positive negative thing through. And so let's talk about the fact that you've got both the positive or negative feedback loop. So the feedback loop status is one thing, and then you've got the ground upon which it works. Namely, does it reject new or differentiation, or is it inactive? Is that right? So how would that play out with SI?
All right. Well, negative SI active or downward. That'd be like, this is the way we always do it around here. And
No more of your sass.
Me?
and negative SI going upward, or rather it becoming inactive, would be like, we don't have to always do it this way anymore.
Okay. So it's just saying, all right, I will allow for new possibilities.
Yeah.
So then what? And then positive SI is what?
Trying to let the use the environment to influence you. It's kind of like the opposite of, it's letting the environment taking an impact on you, instead of more like SE, you are having an impact on your environment.
So it's
And
taking
so-
advantage of what's already there in front of you and easy to access.
But it's like the environment is, okay, suppose you had a crowd of, like the conformity experiments. You have a bunch of people in the elevator facing backward, and this person comes up to the elevator. I forget what this experiment is called, Ash conformity test or something. And he's like, all these people are backwards, and he gets in the elevator backwards just the way they do.
Really?
Right. That would
Oh.
be positive SI copying things it's seeing in the environment. So it's like the opposite of a strong will. Now that'd be happening when you're copying other people. But you can also copy. I'm sorry. But you could also copy information, in which case it's not so obvious as being like.
Now, do those go inactive as well or not?
I suppose it could.
Would that be
So
sort of
what-
positive?
Get on the elevator and face backwards just to make other people uncomfortable. That was negative NI.
that'd be positive NE, I think.
So
I
what
have
about,
no idea what that.
what about when I show you my cock?
That's positive NE right there, right? Or is that negative?
I don't
NE?
know.
But,
All right. Anyway,
What if
what would it be if you did what Taylor said though? That you went in the elevator and you faced the other direction just to make people wonder why you were being different like that. What would that be?
I don't know, man.
It's because we're off the wall.
Okay, so yeah, positive SI. Okay, when positive SI is active, it would be actively copying the environment. When it's inactive, it would no longer be copying the environment, but it still might be working out in its head things that it has seen before and done before. And it might, from there, find something it has copied that it likes more than the other things. Like
Well-
it's more reliable.
What would it be if you're just driving in the car going, well, don't forget to call Judy. Don't forget after that you got to go home and get those beans out of the oven or else they'll be burned or so. If you're doing that shit, that's positive SI, or is that
I think that's probably for the
negative?
most part.
Well, what
I think
is it?
that's
I don't
actually
know.
closer. I think that's closer to positive SI.
Okay.
Positive SI downward. Because you're not seeing it at that moment; it's just echoing.
Oh, okay. Positive SI downward. So in other words, you're sort of repeating for this purpose of drilling them into your head something that you've already begun. You're following through on something basically. It's follow
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Okay, now what if this? You go into the elevator, you face the same direction as everybody else, but you have a sign that says, looking back at everybody, we're all facing the wrong direction.
Wait, why are you doing that?
Well,
Are
see,
you asking whether people would turn around?
okay, let's ask that question first. Would people turn around if you did that? You had a sign on a stick, right? Let's say there's 4 people in an elevator, and for some reason, it tends to be the case, they're all towards the back, right? And you go and you stand in front of them, and you've got a sign on a stick that comes so it sticks out away from you so they can read it a bit, and it says, we're all facing the wrong direction. What would happen? Would people turn around? Or would they just ask you? They'd probably ask you why you say we're facing the wrong direction. I don't know. What would happen?
Are they facing the right direction and the sign says they're facing the wrong direction?
Yes.
I think almost everyone would just face the right direction. For one thing, positive SI, it would most naturally copy things that are very similar to your own body. And
what if it said you're all facing the right direction?
Then you aren't even getting mixed signals.
But see, I think that would make you more likely to make me more likely to turn around, right? If I saw a sign that said you're facing the right direction, I'm almost sure to turn around.
That's an untrustworthy sign right there. You've got a conflict of interest. If it's telling you that you're facing the right way, it's up to no good because you were already facing that fucking way.
All right. Wait. Why are you stopping to tell me this sign? I'm a little concerned now. What's behind me? Well, maybe I should be going in a different direction.
Kind of like
That's paranoia, huh?
No, it's not. It's rational. When someone tries to get you to hurry up on something, that means there's a reason. When people want you to do something, there's a reason and it's bad.
It's not always, Taylor. It's not always bad. A lot of times it's fine or neutral, at least. You're more in the warrior phase. I used to be more in the warrior phase. I know the warrior phase.
I haven't gotten to warrior at anybody in quite a while. It's building up. I wrote a scathing email again today.
Woe unto he or she who incurs your wrath when it's at its peak boil.
I'm starting to write her mean emails for her.
That's good. I like that.
She shouldn't be doing it herself anyways.
She's probably not very good at it. ISFPs, I don't think are good at writing mean emails. They're nice. I bet yours pack quite a punch, Taylor.
But especially with this long of a dry spell.
Yeah. The calluses on your fists are beginning to soften. Anyway, negative NI is attuned to forecasting, says Margie. Forecasting danger in order to prevent it. Positive NI is attuned to making connections to figure something new out. I would, and Megabro says yes. Megabro has also described negative NI as vision defense, defending one's existing vision. Which, I've been known to do on occasion as well.
Yeah, so Marjay, INFJ, is saying she definitely prefers negative NI over positive NI. That would be in line with Socionics' prediction. And I prefer positive NI more than negative NI, and that would be in line with Socionics' prediction for me as an INTJ. Myers-Briggs INTJ, ILI.
Do you think that the same applies with ENFPs then? Do they prefer negative NE and we prefer positive NE, or vice versa?
I believe that's what Socionics says.
So which one would we be, positive or negative?
You would normally be positive, although you sometimes do negative NE stuff.
Like when I bust people's chops or something. See, there's some of my older videos that are really fighty and I'm really busting someone's chops. And I look back at it now and I go...
So am I a negative NE?
You're a lot more negative. You're a lot more negative in your NE than me, I think.
What?
See? I would never in a million years do that.
Are you an ENTP?
Yes.
Okay. Socionics would normally expect you to be positive NE, but I suppose it depends on how you develop.
I would rate the den of J's. Of bitter, rigid J's.
A den of bitter, rigid J's. That that sounds like a family of blue birds with a rough winter.
I don't understand the analogy, but...
Think about it. It's hilarious.
A family of bluebirds in a rough winter?
Yeah, a bunch of
Like
rigid and whatever you said Jays. Because a jay is a kind of bird, you see.
Okay, but it's not specific... Okay, yeah, I got you. Okay. It was just too not funny.
Well, just because you have to do a little bit of work, you
I
think
thought
Taylor
that-
all jokes just do all the work for you? Sometimes you got to put in a little bit of legwork there.
I thought surely he didn't just tell me that lowest common denominator of a joke, did he?
If you don't swing the bat, if you try to walk your way to the majors, you're never going to walk. Okay, you got to strike out sometimes. You're never going to get to the majors.
All right, well, you just walked me.
Did I? Okay, I'll take that. I'm at the pitcher? No, I'm the batter in this analogy.
Bullshit. Took it.
I'm saying I struck out But it's good to strike out because you can't walk your way to the majors.
In the blue day, I'm the batter. I'm gonna hit you out of the fucking air. Pulp or no pulp? So that's the real question.
Pulp.
Extra pulp.
Pulp or no pulp, Megabro? Let's see if the NI leads to no pulp. NE apparently is pulp, correlates strongly with pulp.
I don't normally drink orange juice because it's got too much fructose without enough fiber.
If you had to have a glass. If you had to have a glass.
Torture.
I would normally go with pulp.
Okay.
Thank you.
Margie? Margie says, no pulp, says Carolyn. Carolyn votes no pulp. Margie doesn't answer yet. Light bulb, pulp or no pulp? JC? Are you pulping or no pulping in Atlanta? I juice my own. Do you take the pulp out?
Yeah, I mean that's a non-answer either.
That's why I followed up.
I mean,
I don't care, says light bulb. How about you, JC? Do you care about pulp? Or has Atlanta stolen the care from you? She's not answering. She's not paying
People
attention.
don't start caring about things. People like me are going to take advantage of that and do all your caring for you.
Uh-oh.
Because we both like pulp.
I like pulp.
I took that from her. Because she don't care.
If you don't have the pulp, then the juice isn't whole. It's not close enough to being a whole one.
Good point.
No.
You don't want unwhole juice. Partial juice.
I think that pulp actually bastardizes the juice.
So you define the juice as pulp free by itself. You define the juice as pulp free, and you're saying we should include additional non-juice things called pulp.
Has no pulp. Juice is a liquid, absent of solids. Pulpy juice is closer to a gelatin or something.
Okay, then I prefer liquefied oranges rather than orange juice.
Like your orange is mushed up and walked on.
Well, look, the thing is, I think we can reasonably agree that the state of orange juice with pulp is distinct from liquefying oranges. And I think that we all know what the difference is between juice and pulp as Taylor's defining it. However, I disagree with that definition because I define juice as it comes from the juicer in its most original state, unbastardized further from that state. And as it comes from my juicer anyway, it comes full of pulp.
So, well, the real question that needs to be determined is, where does a cheese turn into a yogurt? Because cottage cheese...
Neither cheese nor yogurt. It's neither cheese nor yogurt.
It's really fucking gross, whatever it is.
I love it. I fucking love cottage cheese.
There's nothing else that anyone eats on earth that has the texture of vomit.
I don't know, dude. I'll buy one of the like half pint size thing and just eat the whole thing, no problem. I love the shit.
Okay. Right now, we're talking about how things change into other things. I think we're using a lot of positive NE. Now, we are using some TI because we're arguing about what things are called, but we're also using some positive NE.
What?
I drive TI is like the favorite state of being. It's so comfortable that it's like, I don't know, blankets, whatever you people like.
What's comfortable? TI?
Letting NE choose the direction while TI just kind of chews through it. It's like you're accelerating with TI and you're steering with NE, and you end up in just a magical nowhere land of rightness.
Taylor, you must have written all the ENTP profiles on MBTI sites. If you've read a lot of them, they're remarkably complimentary. I've often said too much so because they place too high of a burden upon individual ENTPs to live up to. People can't usually live up to that sort of shit. It's ridiculous. But I think it's important also to remember that a lot of ENTPs struggle immensely and have all kinds of problems.
I only know like two of us. We represent 100% of the ENTPs I know in real life.
Yeah, I don't know a lot either, but
I really like Tyler Durden though, and Jack Sparrow's good. The Joker's probably the best villain, and Tony Stark's the biggest stud in cinema history. So all the ones that I don't really know are awesome.
well, you know, I've always been more prone to identify with the ENTPs having problems. For example, the scenes in Amadeus when I don't remember who played that guy. If anybody here's seen Amadeus, it's a movie from a long time ago. But there's a scene where he's just partying too much and he just can't get his shit done, and he's supposed to get his shit done, And I just like,
I think.
what's that?
We're kind of sustainable, I think.
Right. Well, but it takes a while. It takes a while for some people, more longer than others. It took me a long time to get sort of sustainable. I'm not by nature. Start young, becoming sustainable. I agree. That's good.
Practice needing to be sustainable.
I agree with that advice. That's good advice. I wish somebody had given it to me when I was younger. Well, I probably wouldn't have listened anyway.
You're in jail when you're 13.
In jail when you're 13? I'm not in jail. I wasn't in jail at 13.
No, you can't go. They don't take you to jail at 13.
Oh. What are we talking about?
I think different things.
Okay. Well, do we have a central theme? I'm trying to stay away from the mics when I pull bongers because it's too loud.
Amadeus.
Positive NE, how to change things into other things. I kind of tuned out at the middle there.
Well, I don't blame you. What I would say is this, that I've seen a lot of representations of any go off the rail in movies that I've identified probably with more closely than the ones that showed successful executions of it. I sort of probably instinctually felt a little starry-eyed about the successful representations of it, but I probably identified more with the unsuccessful representations of it. So, I think I tend to look at the type as more damaged, perhaps, than a lot of people do, and as more prone to damage, and as more prone to going off the rails before you get old enough to pull it together a little bit. And how...
Did you hear the fictional characters I described?
Yeah. The Joker is a cool villain, I agree, but I mean, all villains are bad, so you can't say like, well, see, that's not a good person. The Fight Club guy, I mean, he's super cool,
He's super cool and super fucked up.
Yeah, but see, most ENTPs aren't fucked up in that cool of a way. Yeah,
That's how I see myself. Katie, am I cool as shit?
Taylor, I'm not saying you're not cool. I'm not saying that you are not fucked up in a cool way, okay? I'm saying that most ENTPs get fucked up in a not cool way. When you're up at 6:30 in the morning drinking vodka, so that you can, straighten yourself out for the day a little bit, you're not experiencing a very romantic sort of understanding of your life, like, this is cool and hard, and I'm drinking.
Most addictions, when you get right down to it, aren't nearly as romantic as they look in the movies.
They're not, and so I mean, they're either commonplace, like the ones I have now, like smoking a cigarette or something. Although
bad and it costs money.
Commonplace, and its whole purpose is to satisfy its own the urge it creates, right? So it's just a little circle.
It's a loop of bullshit, but it's so satisfying.
Yeah,
For the
right.
fidgets.
Yeah. It's for the fidgets, exactly. That's why people smoke. It should say that on the pack. Cigarettes for the fidgets.
That is why.
solves the fidgets. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you carry a knife around with you. I do, and I tend to. They're too easy to fidget with because they got that
Sometimes.
satisfying click.
I've got this little one right now that doesn't open and close well because it's caked with bong resin. But
You
I
gotta have
have.
a designated knife for that. You can't just scrape around. Where's my other knife?
Well, that's why I have this one right now. Is because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting here at the table with that stuff in front of me.
Where's my other?
Yeah, I don't use all my knives, but they do tend to I do tend to slip into multi knives. Like if it doesn't, if I don't have that one right in front of me, then you never know.
Look how big this
So-
dildo is you bought at the store.
On
All right,
that note, good night.
Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People.